Hey everybody, Dr. Orie Quinn here at Ozark Holistic Center. And let me just start by saying I'm loving the questions that are coming in. This is way easier for me to answer the questions and to come up with idea talks on my own, especially because it sparks these ideas and topics I don't think I would have thought to sit down and talk about. So this one that came in asked, like, where's the best place to get all of your SNPs tested? So let me just say where that is. It's called myhappygenes.com, created by a doctor that I know, Dr. Jay Dunn. Phenomenal doctor, phenomenal instructor. I've worked with her and taken her some of her work. And in fact, it's her integration of gene stress testing into muscle testing that we use here in the office to try to help identify these functional gene issues. So real fast, what is a SNP? Let's talk about this. So a SNP is, they can do now this breakdown of your genes, and they look at all these individual are called SNPs. And these SNPs are determinants of whether or not your body will produce certain enzymes to help with biochemical pathways. And so what they're looking for is, do you have a mutation in this SNP? So every SNP is controlled by two different genes come together, and you can have one mutation or you can have both mutations. And if you only have one, it decreases the efficiency by 30%. If you have both, it decreases the efficiency by 70%. And this is why this is important and matters. Probably the most commonly talked about gene SNP is the MTHFR gene, which has to do with the activation of folate into methylfolate, which is crucial for lots of different processes in the body, but it often gets associated with some of the detoxification mechanisms and the lowering of homocysteine levels, which has a ton to do with like heart health, liver function, and so many other things. And so it has a lot to do with how your body can process certain toxins that come into the environment. So at this point in time, there's actually hundreds of gene SNPs that are ran and analyzed. In terms of like medically or in research, we don't know what all those do, but there are certain ones that have come to prominence that we're more and more aware of and what their effects are. They're getting to the point now that we can even kind of look at likelihood of certain issues, particularly in the general sense of like cardiovascular health and cardiovascular events, the general sense of like blood sugar, how your body handles that, controls that, likelihood of diabetes from running these gene tests, which is really quite cool and amazing. And they're even getting down into likelihood of specific conditions, particularly like your neurological degenerative conditions and things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and things. But it is kind of like a correlation that they're identifying the people that have these double mutations or single mutation and what their percentage of likelihood of a particular condition is. So we hope to be able to take this information and knowledge as it comes in and apply it to the person and their health problems. So even if you have these mutations, we need to try to figure out, are they affecting your system, and in what way are they affecting your system? Sometimes you can do that through further blood tests. Taking the MTHFR as an example, you can look at homocysteine levels and see if they're elevated or if they're functionally elevated. And that can be a good indicator that this gene mutation is truly having an issue in your system or creating problems in your system. But we now know that we know gene snippets that connect to all kinds of things. So folate to methylfolate, B12 or cobalamin to methylcobalamin as well, which is another one that plays a role in your detoxification pathways. You've got things that involve with the production and synthesis in the body of vitamin D. And so people that always feel that they're very low in vitamin D, struggle to get enough vitamin D. Sunlight doesn't seem to convert enough to create vitamin D. You might have an issue in what is called the VDR mutation. Plays a very big role in terms of like anxieties, depression, those kind of things, as low vitamin D levels are often correlated with depression. And in fact, that's an example of something that when people are low in vitamin D, restoring healthy vitamin D levels actually tests better than antidepressants to remove people out of a state of depression. So a really cool thing there. If you identify, and I've seen this happen in clinic, we actually had this whole like family that consistently had like illness issues. They all seem to kind of pass illnesses very easily, seem to always be sick. And there's this big question, why is this happening? We're able to identify that there is this VDR mutation that ran throughout their family, a very strong one, meaning both sides. And started doing the right supplementation with vitamin D, getting that back up. And you saw that improve within this family, their health and their likelihood of getting sick and getting ill. And so that's just like an example. You definitely have these as well in the Krebs cycle. There's a lot that we are aware of now in the Krebs cycle, which is the body's like energy production, how it takes fats potentially and converts those into ATP, or how it takes sugar or glucose and converts those into ATP for energy. And so we see now certain genetic mutations will lead to issues even like in cholesterol. So there's a common when people say like, oh, I just have these, I always have high cholesterol, it's just genetic. Well, now you can run these SNPs and actually look and be like, hey, do I have this gene for high cholesterol? And if you do, we now know what kind of supplements we can give to try to help offset that. So it's not a perfect system, but the premise behind that is that we know that there's certain vitamins and cofactors that are needed to help make that step happen. And so if we make sure those are provided and always available, then you can increase the efficiency of that system to make sure that even though you're running low in that step, that each time that step needs to happen, that we're trying to make it happen. So this can play a really big role in people's overall health, how they feel. It does get pretty intricate because biochemistry is very connected together. And so take the homocysteine, the MTHFR pathways as an example. If you start giving methylfolate, because you realize that people don't convert and activate that very effectively, well, we can kind of bypass that step biochemically, just come in and give methylfolate, and you're going to start improving the body's detoxification pathways in that step of detoxification. But there's several more steps that have to happen before the body actually eliminates that through the urine for true detoxification or removal. And so if we speed this up, but there's another block down the road or another dam down the road, then sometimes people will start feeling better at first, and then they start having issues because you actually just push the ball down the road, and now you're creating another block here or increasing here. So having that whole picture, running everybody's SNPs and running the whole picture, or again in our functional muscle testing to try to figure that out as well, can give you an idea of like, do we need to insert and give something here? Do we need to give something here? How do we take this through complete energy production and creation all the way through detoxification and elimination? This also can play a really big role in the hormone category, maybe the last big category to talk about. There's actually so much we can unpack here, and this would actually be neat to do more on this, so probably I will. But that's another one where we see a lot in hormone breakdown. And so we see issues with, which is where people run into a lot of times like high estrogen levels, and it's not so that your body's producing a ton, it's that maybe it's not breaking it down effectively, especially nowadays with a lot more of the plastics, and you're turning into phytoestrogens and those kind of things, increasing estrogen levels. And then also you get to this detox pathway, not only you have higher estrogen levels, but your body is not taking these steps very effectively to break them down. And can we support that? This plays a really big role in terms of as well some of your like adrenaline, cortisol, high cortisol levels potentially could be related to a lack of breaking it down versus creation. And so people getting stuck in stress modes, not because their body is actually triggering stress all the time, but because it's not removing the stress hormones as effectively as it can. So it can play a really big role in all these things. So myhappygenes.com, Dr. J. Dunn, awesome individual, awesome doctor. I don't have any association with her other than having worked with her and knowing that she does really good work, meaning association with her companies or anything. And so, yeah, so we have people, they can run those. You can bring in those charts. If you do run it and want like some help with it, guidance with it, we do kind of consult on those as well. But that kind of give you an angle of hopefully where to go, and hopefully that helps. So thanks for the question. Hopefully, and that's the answer right there.